Okay, so I'm going to try to talk a little bit about our upcoming Amplified Excel and how that's going to work. And I'm trying to cut back on meeting time and send you stuff out via recordings like this. So hopefully this will help. So I wanted to look at the calendar first and explain how the Amplified Excel is set up and how it's supposed to work. So here we are right now on the 13th of October. All right. So our first leg of Amplified Excel is supposed to begin on the 17th. And I'm going to share the Amplified Excel calendar with everyone in just a minute. So it's supposed to be 10 days of remediation or acceleration. I'll explain how that works again in a minute. With one core. We're going to start with core one, and that's supposed to run. So if we start, it's supposed to kick off on Monday, which is the 17th. Now, we may not actually kick it off until Tuesday or even Wednesday. It kind of depends on how fast we get the spreadsheet filled out. Okay, so after the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days of the first leg, we have what are called doc days. Now, these days are for organization and conferences, data organizations and conferences. So you can update your data notebook. I'll try to have the template for the new year out to everyone by the 31st. We can help students get organized with their notebooks and stuff, or we can have conferences with individual students and try to help mentor them some and work with them one-on-one. So you won't always have 2 or even any doc days, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to have clubs on Friday. So in this particular week, we've got almost a whole week of doc days, which is a good time to breathe before we start our next leg of remediation with a different core. Okay, so our first club day will be on the 4th of November. Okay, and then when November rolls around, we'll start the next leg on the 7th with AE2. AE stands for Amplified Excel. This will be when you're working with your Core 2. Okay, AE3 will be working with Core 3 and so forth. And again, I'm going to share this calendar with you. So hopefully that is not too confusing. All right, so I'll go back over to October. And again, we need to be concerned right now with AE1. Who am I going to be working with? Well, that's what I would like to explain right now. So I'm going to share this spreadsheet with everyone. And you only need to be concerned with the correct tab. If you look at the tabs down at the bottom, like if I teach 7th grade math, I need to be on this tab and nowhere else. Okay, if I teach 8th grade science, I should be on this tab and nowhere else. So please pay attention to the tabs. 8th grade SS stands for social studies, 6th grade science, and so forth. Okay, so 6th grade ELA down here. Now these are examples right here that I've got in. So right now we're only concerned with Core 1 because Core 1 is going to be, I'm going to go over because I've got comments there. Right now we're only concerned with Core 1, remediation and acceleration. This is our first leg. Okay, we're working with Core 1 during AE1. We don't need to build rosters yet for Core 2, Core 3, or Core 4. That's weeks away. Okay, and right now somebody might need remediation that doesn't for the next leg. So we're going to build these as we go. So right now we only need to build rosters for Core 1. So there are 2 teachers that teach 6th grade math, for example. You need to decide which of you is going to do remediation for the first leg of the AE wheel and who's going to do the acceleration or the enrichment. So all right, I've got these mock names, Mr. Miracle and Miss Marvelous. Well, of course, this is going to need to be your name. So you need to decide and you need to go ahead and put your name. I'm Mr. Griffin. I'm going to take care of remediation for this leg. Now, this does not mean that you're stuck with remediation for the year. It just means that for the Core 1 students, you're going to be combining your cores, the 2 of you. For this first leg, I'll be in charge of the remediation. So then you need to start building a roster. So I need to look at my students. I need to consider their grades. I need to consider maybe common assessment scores if we've gotten those back, or any other data that you can collect on your kids and decide who needs remediation, and you just need to start typing their names in, okay? And then I've got some mock names here or whatever. And then you need to put in your kids that need acceleration here. So I don't have to keep all of my kids. Some of my kids might need to go to acceleration. So I'm going to entrust them to the other teacher on my hallway and know that they'll have an enrichment activity that's planned there. So build your rosters this way, and we'll see how that goes, and see me if you have any questions. Now, since this is going to be a 10-day window or leg or spoke on the wheel, whichever you prefer, maybe you could have a project that you could work on that would last 10 days, like a couple of days to go over it, to the teacher input, and then some days for them to work on the project independently, and maybe even some days at the end to present or whatever. If you could come up with, because you're going to have about 20, 25 minutes a day, so you just need to come up with an activity that would last about 200 minutes. Just think about it. And then you just can rock that activity for half of the school year, because the same activity that you do for remediation, you could do again, or you could switch the activity with the other teacher if you decide to switch roles for the next spoke or the next leg of the wheel. But just know that whatever you've got planned for remediation could be used again. This would just be a different group of kids, because during the next leg, which begins in, what did we say over here? AE2, which starts on November 7th, that will be this group of kids right here. But we can do the same activity with them then. But the rosters will be different, of course, because you'll be working with your Core 2 kids during Excel instead of Core 1. All right? And so just see me if you have any questions. I see lots of you are putting in your information about your clubs. That's great. We'll keep that up. And I think that's all I've got for you for now. I'm going to go ahead and share the calendar with you and this video with you, and see me if you have any questions. Cheers.